So if you're new to Super Smash Bros. Or fighting games in general, you might not know what this term frame data is that you've seen thrown around so much. Well, it's actually really important to know, and it's a question I get a ton from my students in my coaching sessions, so I figured I'd just cover it here. So first, let's break down what a frame is. So any kind of display on a screen is going to be not continuous motion. It's actually a series of still images. This has been true all the way since the birth of film. Every single moving image you see is made up of individual still frames played back to you really fast to create the illusion of motion. This is also true for video games. Video games are literally just video that takes an input, right? That's what makes it a video game. So there's a concept called frame rate, which is how many frames in 1 second are displayed to the player. FPS. Standard for video is either 24 or 30 frames per second these days. Sometimes for higher quality video where they want it to be more smooth, they'll do it 60 frames per second, and you can notice a notable difference in quality there. Now, because in a video game you need to be doing a lot of precise inputs, most fighting games, most competitive games, it's at least 60, and for Smash it is specifically 60 frames per second. There are 60 still images displayed to you every second that the game is running. Now, because this is an obvious way to measure time, right? There's 60 frames in every second. 1 frame is going to be the minimum amount of time that passes in a game. There's nothing between frames most of the time. Generally, when it comes to fighting games, it's going to be what you see on each frame is what you get. That is what is going on in the game. So, because of this, when we are studying a character and we're trying to figure out whether they're good, what's fast, what's not, frames are an easy way to measure time, right? So let's look, for example, at my main, Ike. So because the game runs 1 frame at a time, there's actually a mode in the training called 1 frame, where you just hit ZL and it will advance the game by exactly 1 frame. So if you start an animation, you can watch it go by frame, and each one of these still images is going to take up 1/60th of a second, right? With me so far? If you have any questions about any of this, don't be afraid to leave a comment. I will answer literally anything. I know this is a lot of information to dump, but hopefully this makes things a little bit more clear to you guys. So, Ike's down tilt, for example, let's use that. I'm going to start the input for down tilt now. You see how I'm holding the stick down? And then I'm going to advance the game by 1 frame. So let's count the frames here before I end up hitting Fox. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames, and then I make contact. Because it takes 7 frames for the hitbox to come out, that means this move has 7 frames of startup. 7 frames, that's a little over 1/10 of a second for this move's hitbox to come out. So that's how we measured the speed of moves, whether they're fast, whether they're slow. That's the very basics of what frame data is. There's actually an amazing website for this stuff called ultimateframedata.com. I encourage you guys to check it out if you haven't already. It's amazing. It has data for every single character in the game, and if we look here at Ike and we scroll down, it also has frame by frame hitboxes for every single one of these characters. But if we scroll down to down tilt, you'll see just like we tested, it was 7 frames of startup. So yeah, that's consistent, and you can actually see frame by frame here the animation we just played with color-coded hitboxes included. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the hitbox, right? So there, now you understand what this green number is on Ultimate Frame Data. Next up, we have to understand what this red number is. And this is a little bit trickier to demonstrate, a little bit more confusing. But bear with me, I promise it's not that complicated and you guys will understand it. So down tilt is -13 on shield. Okay, got both Joy-Cons here. So I'm able to control Fox as well. So if Fox is shielding, right? It said -13 on shield. So here's what that means. So in 1 frame mode, if I'm shielding with Fox, right? And I down tilt his shield with Ike. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So on this frame here, we are hitting Fox's shield. Let's see how long it takes Fox to get out of shield and do a move, all right? I'm actually just going to start a jump out of shield for Fox. I'm holding down the X button, and because of that, it will buffer a jump on the first available frame. So Ike here has hit shield. So Fox can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. On frame 15, Fox is able to start a jump, right? So Fox is stuck in the shield for 15 frames when he gets hit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a jump with Ike. And let's see how many frames after Fox is available Ike is going to be able to jump. So this is already frame 1. Now we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There we go. So because it takes 13 frames for Ike to then be able to act after he down tilts, Fox can act 13 frames before Ike. That means, looking back at the numbers here, down tilt is a minus 13 on shield. Does that make sense to you guys? Frame safety, which is this red number, represents how much sooner the person in shield can act than the person who hits their shield, based on which move they do. So if I do a low spaced nair, which Ikes tend to do a lot, right? If we look at the frame data here, Ike's nair is minus 5 on shield. So that means that Fox should be able to act 5 frames before Ike, right? We hold shield here. It's kind of hard to do this by myself, but I'll do my best. Okay, so we have hit a fairly low spaced nair here, right? So I'm gonna try to jump with Fox and we'll see how long we can do it for. So Ike has hit the ground and now I've begun holding jump with Ike and jump with Fox. So now 3, 4, Fox can jump. So now we start counting for how long Ike can jump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it actually was minus 5 on shield. So as you can see, Ike is at a disadvantage here, right? Because Ike committed to a move, Fox is able to act first, right? So you'd think, why would you ever hit a shield if you're always going to be at a disadvantage? Well, there's something else that we have to consider. And that is, how are we going to get out of shield, right? We're stuck in shield in this situation. And in ultimate, shielding is actually a pretty big commitment. So looking back at ultimate frame data here, Fox has a frame 2 jab. As you can see here, frame 1, no hitbox, frame 2, hitbox, right? That's pretty fast. So you would think that means that he can punish anything that is any worse than minus 2 on shield, right? Because he can act on frame 2, his jab's frame 2, that would make sense, right? He could punish on frame 2. However, you have to consider most moves in this game actually cannot be done out of shield. So he's in shield, right? I'm gonna hold jab and let's see what frame the hitbox comes out. Okay, we're releasing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? So it's a frame 2 move. Why did it come out on frame 13? Well, the answer is there's an animation called a shield drop. You can see here where Ike releases his arms like that. Fox's looks very similar, where he spreads his arms out. That animation lasts 11 frames, right? So it's gonna add 11 frames onto basically any option you do out of shield. So for Ike, he has a frame 4 jab, releasing shield, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now the animation's done. Now we start jab, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the hitbox, right? So that makes Fox jab frame 13 out of shield, and Ike jab frame 15 out of shield. So anytime you've heard someone talk about an out of shield option, this is what they were talking about, right? So in Ultimate, there are actually quite a few ways to cheat this. You don't have to do this animation every time you want to get out of shield. There are a few ways, right? All up smashes will get you out of shield without going through this animation. They completely skip it. So a good example is Fox here. Fox does this all the time. He has an up smash that is frame 8 and it kills dumb early. So that's really fast. Because it skips the animation, that makes it frame 8 out of shield. So if we watch here, so Fox out of shield, up smash, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's the hitbox coming out. So because he gets to cancel that animation with up smash, it is a frame 8 out of shield option, which is insanely fast for a kill move. Everyone complains about ether out of shield. That's a frame 15 option. So, frame 8 is kind of insane. So up smash, again, is one of the things that cheats this shield drop rule, right? Another option is Upbeat, as I mentioned. All Upbeat moves come out immediately out of shield and completely bypass that animation. However, Ike's Upbeat is frame 15, so it's still not a particularly fast option. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? Fox is kind of terrifying here, actually. Now, a cool thing about Ike's Ether at his shield is it actually has super armor that comes out on frame 5. So that means if we think someone's going to mash on our shield, we can actually armor through it with armor that comes out on frame 5, which is pretty cool. So as an example here, Fox down tilt is minus 12 or 13 on shield, right? Because Ether's frame 14, it can't directly punish it. Let me show you. So because the strong hit of Fox down tilt is minus 12, and Ike's Ether is frame 15, I shouldn't be able to directly punish it out of shield, right? However, if Fox does down tilt jab, again, there's 14 frames in between the two hitboxes. Ether is frame 15. I shouldn't be able to punish. However, the armor comes out on frame 5. So Ike can actually armor the jab if he thinks that someone is going to mash on his shield. And that's what makes Ether a potent out of shield option. Okay? Let me show you. So Fox does a down tilt on Ike's shield. Ike starts an Upbeat out of shield. Fox jabs. The jab hits Ike, but the armor is already out, even though the hitbox isn't. And then Ike gets the scoop, right? Makes sense? So that's why Ether is actually a decent out of shield option, even though it has a fairly slow hitbox. Now, I've mentioned 2 things that cheat this out of shield rule, but there are a couple more. So grabs will cheat out of shield. You can do a shield grab with no 11 frame penalty, right? So a grab that's frame 7, like Ike's, will still come out on frame 7 when you're in shield, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fox gets grabbed. However, when your shield gets hit by a move, it adds 4 frames onto your shield grab. So Ike's grab out of shield effectively becomes around frame 11. Kind of confusing, I know, but just sort of keep in mind that anytime someone hits your shield, your grab is going to have 4 extra frames added onto it. I know that this kind of thing is hard to remember and it's kind of annoying and it's really like particular, but it's super important when it comes to knowing what you can shield grab and what you cannot. So let me show you how that works. So Fox is about to hit my shield and land in front of me, right? So my shield grab should be frame 7, but because my shield gets hit here, if I hit A, which is going to give me a shield grab, the grab animation will actually come out on frame 11 instead of frame 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. See? So it takes a little bit longer. I might not have lined it up perfectly with the frames here, but just know that it is +4 in the perfect situation. Kind of hard here doing 2 Joy-Cons and a controller, but you get the idea. So we've been over up smash out of shield, which skips the animation. Up B out of shield, which also skips it. Grab, which skips it. Now there's one more option that is really important to know, and that option is jump. Jump out of shield is actually going to lead to some characters' best out of shield options, which are going to be aerials. Fox is one of those characters. Fox's aerials are very fast, so his jumping out of shield options are going to be really good. So looking at the frame data here, Fox Nair is frame 4, right? And I just said that we get to skip the animation out of shield. So it should be frame 4 out of shield. Not exactly. It's actually just a little bit more complex than that, and the reason for that is something called jump squat. So going back into 1 frame mode here, Fox is in shield, and if we watch it very carefully, you'll notice that there's this animation that plays where Fox does a little crouch before his jump. That's called a jump squat. In Smash Ultimate, it is always 3 frames. Anytime you want to jump, it takes you 3 frames to actually get into the air and be able to do an aerial. So 1, 2, 3, now Fox is in the air, right? So that means that if you're going to do an aerial out of shield, you have to add that 3 frames of jump squat onto it. So like I said, Fox Nair is frame 4, so that means you have to add that 3 frames. That makes it frame 7 out of shield, which is 1 frame faster than up smash, and it can hit behind him. So it's a pretty good out of shield option. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the hitbox hits, right? Makes sense? So that's all the ways out of shield, and that is how out of shield options work. Let's take another look at ultimate frame data and go over some extra stuff that we haven't covered yet. So like I said, you can see the frame by frame hitboxes here, right? In every move in the game, literally every character is covered here. There's a GIF for every single move they do. Someone has done all the math and figured all this out for you. The great thing about that is if you're about to play a matchup, you don't have to memorize anything. You don't have to know the numbers. The things you really need to know is what can I grab out of shield? Now you're gonna be able to grab out of shield pretty much anything that is -11, -10, or worse. So Ike has a frame 7 grab. Some characters have frame 6 grabs. Some characters have worse grabs. So if you have a frame 6 grab, you'll be able to grab things that are minus 10 out of shield. Ike has a frame 11 grab out of shield because this grab is frame 7. So that means we can punish anything that is minus 11 or worse. So we should be able to grab Fox forward air out of shield. Let me show you. So Fox is landing on my shield with a forward air, right? Now, because it's minus 14 at best on shield, I should always be able to just grab this out of shield before the animation even ends, right? So look, he's still on the ground. He can't do anything, and we grab him because it's minus 14, and our grab comes out on frame 11. What's really important to know before you go into a matchup is what is my fastest out of shield option? What is my opponent's fastest out of shield option? And what can I punish on shield? What can I grab? What can I do my out of shield options against? You want to compare your green numbers with your opponent's red numbers, right? And figure out what can I punish with what. So now that I've taught you how to read frame data, if you're trying to learn a new matchup, you should be able to go into the character, look at these numbers, the red ones for minus on shield, the green ones for startup, figure out what's my fastest out of shield option, what's my opponent's fastest out of shield option, what can I punish with what can I grab, what can I nair out of shield, what can I up B out of shield, what can I up smash out of shield. There's a lot of options. You don't have to memorize everything you can punish because you can just look it up every time you play the matchup. It's really, really useful to know this stuff because there's way too many matchups in Ultimate, and trying to memorize those kinds of things for every single character is basically impossible. So just learning how to read frame data the way I've taught you here is going to help you a ton when it comes to improving your technical play. Now, there is one more aspect to talk about here, and that is the blue number active on these frames. This is just an indication of when the hitboxes appears. Dash attack, active on 13 through 16. So that just means that for these 4 frames, 13, 14, 15, 16, the move has a hitbox. So we already talked about startup, that's the green number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The first hitbox comes out. Now, because it lasts for 4 frames, 13, 14, 15, 16, the blue number here indicates 13 through 16 is when it's active. All right, I guess that's it. That's pretty much the basics of frame data. If you guys have any questions, I know this is a huge info dump. It's a lot to remember, but please leave your questions in the comment. If I forgot anything, let me know. It's meant to just be the basics, teach you sort of how to read this stuff, and I hope this is useful to you guys. Don't forget to like and leave a comment. These videos take a lot of effort to make. I really appreciate you coming by and watching them, and the best thing you can do for free is leave a like if you want to support the channel, so thank you. Also, if you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe for more informational and entertaining content. Bye!